Hello, welcome to JMT 2005. I'm going to be heading out tomorrow to head up to Yosemite Valley, and Plan A says I'll be at the top of Mount Whitney at the Whitney Portal by 7.5 days. Plan B, 8.5. Plan C, 9.5. Let's hope it stays with Plan A. Alright, for this year, made a few changes, some quite drastic. So let's get right to those. I guess the biggest one is the backpack. This backpack is from Gossamer Gear. My old backpack weighed about 3.5 pounds. This one is just a touch over a pound. It has maybe not quite as much square inchage, but it has one big thing going for it. It has a lot of pockets. It's got some pockets on the side for maps and water bottles and various and sundry things on the outside. There's nothing really much on the inside. There's a pouch for the bladder, which I'm not taking this year, and I'll get to that later. It's just basically one big sack here. You put the sleeping bag at the bottom in a plastic bag. This is a waterproof silicone impregnated nylon. It's kind of a lightweight material, so you have to be very careful with it. It may only last a couple seasons, but for the lightweight and saving £1.50 pounds, it's definitely worth it. This back area here, you see it's kind of flimsy. The way that it stays stiff is it has this pouch in the back here, and into that pouch goes this pad. Just fold it up like that and slid into it. This pad then folds out and becomes my sleeping pad. It goes from my hips to my shoulders, and that's it. I tried it on my test hike with John. Actually, it was fairly comfortable. Didn't have to worry too much about any of the pad underneath my feet. The ground was soft enough underneath my feet, so I didn't have any problems with that. So it's definitely going into the minimalist route. The other big change I made was my tent. I actually made my own tent. It actually fits inside this stuff sack. That's how small it is. Although in the backpack I have to push it in around the beer canister because there's not enough room. Anyway, it's thin. It's made out of the same silicone impregnated nylon material as the backpack, so it's waterproof. This one I did seal the seams on the top, so if it does rain, it won't come in and get me. And this weighs just about 1.25 pounds. The other one I had weighed about 3.5 pounds, so big weight savings there. So that's going to help quite a bit in keeping my load pretty low. In my preliminary weights of combining all this material and weighing it, I've been thinking that I'm starting off without food or water at about 13, 14 pounds. So with food, maybe about 25 pounds. But of course, as the days go on, I will be getting down much lower than that. Standard clothes, nothing new here. I'm taking along sleeping socks, either to keep my feet warm or to keep the inside of the bag clean. Not sure which. It may be too hot with these, but I'll give it a try. This is new for this year. It's a fleece pullover shirt type of a deal. Very warm, very light, packs down pretty small. This, combined with my rain gear, windproof shell, will provide enough warmth. I tried it out in John's hike, and it kept me warm down to maybe the high 40s. But by that time, I'm in my sleeping bag. So this weighs very little. This will help me keep me warm. This is new, the rain suit. This is pants and a jacket. It's a hooded jacket. There's no pockets, no fancy doodahs. It weighs, grand total, combined, 9 ounces. And I tried this out with John's trip. We did get a little rain, so I could verify the fact that it's waterproof. It's windproof, and does provide a good amount of insulation to keep you warm, too. And speaking of keeping warm, I've decided that 32-degree bag isn't going to cut it. I'm going to need to sleep comfortably, and to be comfortable, I need to be warm. So I'm taking, even though this is an extra pound and a half, I'm taking my 15-degree bag to make sure that I get a good night's sleep and I'm well rested for the next day. Extra pound and a half, it's annoying, but I think it's worth it for what I'm getting for it. Another huge change I made was my stove. I made this stove. It's out of 2 soda cans, and the idea is you pour denatured alcohol, about one of these capfuls, into this, a little bit less than an ounce, and you put your windscreen pot holder over the top, put your pot over it. You can boil 16 ounces of water in a little bit less than 5 minutes, and even less if I pour out half of it to make tea at night. And I'm going to be making it in this, tea is going to be made in this this thing. It's double things for insulation to keep my hands cold from the hot tea. I tried this out in the trip with John, and the water inside the tea stayed hot all the way till the very bottom, and I didn't have to drink it that fast, and I could hold it with my bare hands on the outside and felt comfortable. So this is a good thing to keep my hands warm, or hands cool, and the tea warm. What else? Food. This thing is full. I maybe should take more food. This is about 9 days worth of food. I will be getting 2 days worth of food, one at Tuolumne Meadows for dinner and one lunch at Red's Meadow. So I don't need to take as much food if I wasn't getting those 2 meals. But my gorp, which this is probably too much, won't fit in there. So the first 2 nights I'll have to, which I will be, I'll be staying at Tuolumne Meadows the first night. So I'll be able to put this into the bare box that they have there at Tuolumne Meadows. The second night I will have enough room in here to put it in and protect it from the bears. Another big thing for this year, they had an article in the LA Times about Giardia, and it's not as big a deal as you've been led to believe. Apparently, they've tested even some of the dirtiest rivers that they could think of in the Sierra, and they found that the average number of Giardia cysts per liter of water is less than the tap water of San Francisco. So the likelihood of getting Giardia in the Sierras is very slight from the water. However, you have a very high probability of getting it from your hands if you don't wash your hands and sanitize it after going to the bathroom or handling any substances that you might find on the trail, either accidentally or intentionally. So, to prevent against bacteria getting onto my food from my hands, I'm taking along this hand sanitizer. And this should, use this before handling any food to make sure that my hands are clean. So what about taking iodine? I'm going to take it. I'm going to not use it unless I really think that there's a reason, definite reason, that the water I would be drinking would be contaminated. But as long as you're smart, realize where the headwaters of the river that you're drinking out of are. If they're well off a trail in some remote canyon up to the side, you're probably very safe. If it runs along the trail and there's a lot of horses going up and down, it may not be too safe. So be smart and you won't have any problems. Anything else? Well, minor thing, I'm bringing a mirror, signaling mirror, or just to kind of see how I'm doing. If I have any problems with my face that I can't see, I'll use the mirror. If I need to floss in the mirror, I can use that. Anything else? Yes. Another huge thing this time, trekking poles. Usually don't like trekking poles, don't like the idea of them, but since the water level is very high this year because of the high snowfall, the stream crossings, especially Bear Creek and Evolution Creek, are going to be almost up to my waist, maybe my mid-thighs. So it's essential to have some extra amount of support while crossing those streams. Plus, with 30 miles a day, my legs might get a little tired, might get a little bit stumbly. And my 23-mile hike, when I took these on it, they did definitely help me near the end of the hike to keep me from falling as much. I could support and catch my balance before I fell on the side. So these may not be official trekking poles, but they shall do. Okay, and that's it. I'm going to pack the bag up and I'll be ready to go tomorrow. Alright, here we are, fully packed. It takes a bit to shove it all into this, but here it is. It's kind of overflowing at the seams. But this weighs a grand total of 23.5 pounds right now. I don't have any of this water in here, but this water is full. So it's not going to get much more than that at the trailhead. And at the trailhead I'll also eat one bar, so it'll be just a tiny bit less. Well, it feels good, and I'm ready to go. Alright, we're at Yosemite at the backpackers camp. This is going to be our first campsite. We're putting all of our food away from the bears so we can go out and do some interesting day hikes. It's now about 4 o'clock. We pan around. It's not the best campsite in the world, but it is home for at least one night. Starting to get well nigh on dark here, so we're going to have a little campfire. It's probably my only time we'll be able to do this. And we took a hike over to Lower Yosemite Falls, saw a coyote, kind of also played around in the water a little bit. Then we went on a hike to Muir Lake, and we actually saw 2 small bears. And of course I didn't have my camera with me. What was I thinking? My only chance to see bears, and oh well, maybe I'll see it again later. Anyway, I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye. We got the campfire going. The rangers came by and said that, don't know if you can see it over there, but there's a big blueberry patch that the bears like to come and eat from. So, or blackberry patch. So we should keep an eye out for any bears, any noise, and I guess just make sure we put everything in our bear canister and this bear container, bear vault, so that the bears don't come into camp. That would not be good. This bug is flying around. It is about 3 or 4 inches long. That thing is nasty. Hey, alright, here we are at the start of the trail. This is the sign. I guess they took away that big brown sign. But here's the trail we're taking. John Muir Trail up Vernal, Nevada Falls, and off onto Whitney Portal. And I'm off on a major adventure. 220 miles from now I'll be at Whitney Portal. Happier and a very tired man. Here's the sign. They moved it up the trail a little bit. So here we are. Vernal, Nevada, Little Yosemite, Half Dome, Clouds Rest, Merced, Tenaya, Mount Whitney. 211 miles. Moon over Glacier Point. This trail's been a lot steeper than I remembered. We have one suffering father. My first shot of Nevada Falls. And there's the backside of Half Dome. Look back down the valley. Last time I see Yosemite Valley. Another view of the falls a little bit closer up. But I wanted to get a picture of this. How they carved this trail right out of the rock. A little bit of water coming down. Must have taken a lot of work. I'm at the top of the falls here. A little bit of sound of the water going over the edge. The most interesting part is right here. Say back from slippery rock, the water's edge. If you go over the fall, you will die. Moon over Half Dome. I've come up quite a ways. It's about 9:40, hiking about an hour and 20 minutes. Gone almost 7 miles. This is a little bit tiring, but this is nice weather, shaded most of the way. It's not too warm either. I'll be whistling a different tune though once I get out into the sun full time. Stopping along the trail to enjoy the view. As you can see, the very small wispy clouds, nothing to be concerned about. Famous last words. It's about 11:30. Time for a lunch break. This seemed like a good enough place. Nice babbling brook. It's good to sit down, get a load off my feet, and prepare for the second half of the day. The climb up here was a real grunt since lunchtime. It's now about 12:22. I'm getting up near Sunrise Camp. The snows of this last year have really made these meadows nice and green and lots of flowers. I made it to the Sunrise Camp. It's actually kind of a quaint little meadow here. So I've got about 9 miles to go to Tuolumne Meadows. It's now 12:54. I should be able to make that in time before 5 o'clock and they close the grill. I'm a little bummed. There was no sign at Cathedral Pass, so I had no idea where it was. But little past the pass, there's this lake. It's a no-named lake. Down below it, about a mile further down, is going to be the junction to Cathedral Lake. So I don't have much time to go. It's now about 2:18. I did pass a guy. Let me just pan around when I'm talking. I passed a guy who's doing the whole PCT. So why is he on this section, you may ask? Well, he started from Mexico, did 700 miles. There's too much snow, so he went up to Canada, came down south. When he hit Tuolumne Meadows, he decided to head down to the valley floor just to kind of complete the JMT as well. So he was hitting about 30 miles a day some of his days, but that's in easier sections. He's thinking of doing this whole section about 9 days, 8 or 9 days or so, which is still pretty good. Hey, here we are. Why am I smiling so much? Because almost exactly 9 hours since leaving Yosemite floor, I have reached the promised land. Hamburger, fries, drink. Oh. I made it to campsite number 2. This is the backpackers camp at Tuolumne Meadows. Kind of sparse. The bathroom is quite a ways, quite a walk down there. Kind of annoying. Okay, first day. How do I feel? Very tired, kind of stiff. My feet feel like they've been bashed with hammers for 9 hours straight. But surprisingly, a little hot spot on the bottom of my, the balls of my foot, but otherwise no big problems with my feet. Just resting tonight, laying down flat. My legs should be a little stiff in the morning, but ready to go. So I'll let you know how it feels tomorrow. Okay, I'm off on day number 2. After a really good night's sleep, my legs are feeling pretty good. Hips are a little sore from where the backpack was sitting on them. It's still pretty cold in the morning. I'm still wearing my fleece and my gloves. Getting a little late start. It's about 7:30, but I needed the rest. I ran into 2 cool guys here at the campground. One guy actually used the word Luddite in a sentence, which I thought was pretty clever. Anyway, I'll talk to you at my next stop. Bye. I reached the lake below Donahue Pass. It's now 11:12, so I've been doing okay. There is a lot more snow. This is the same spot that Kim and I camped in last time we were up here. I gotta be a little bit stingy with my battery time, so I probably won't be doing too much more long dialogues. Till next time. Made it to Donahue Pass. It's now 12:13. Trail up here is pretty clear of snow. Small patches off to the side, but nothing on the trail. It's still as bleak and desolate as ever. Nearing the top of Island Pass. It's now 2:11, but I had to take a picture of this. The wildflowers are really in bloom. Beautiful. I've come over the pass, and there's 10 to the 3rd lake. Kind of beautiful. My legs are not quite ready to go 27 miles today. I gotta cut it short, probably just beyond Thousand Island. So it looks like I'm on the 10-day plan unless I can catch up tomorrow. Made it to the outlet of Garnet Lake. My legs seem to have a bit of a second wind after my last report up there above Thousand Island. Still don't think I'm gonna make Trinity, but I should be able to make it up over this next little crest. But right now I'm gonna have dinner, and so I can lighten my load a little bit before going up. Another view down below the outlet to Garnet. I got here around 4:20, so it's about right time to start eating dinner. Alright, found my campsite. Got it all set up, ready to go around 5:30 or so. I'm just over the ridge from the Garnet Lake Valley. Felt like I didn't really want to go too much further. Got a neat little lakelet and snow. That's a nice view. Hey, good morning. Feeling pretty good this morning actually after getting 12 hours of sleep. Well, not exactly, I was kind of tossing and turning. But I got out of bed pretty early this morning. It's now about 6:42 and I'm heading out on the trail. And hopefully, I'm behind where I was for plan A, but I think I'm still far ahead of where I am for plan C, so I still might be able to make plan B. We'll see how that goes. Talk to you later. I've been hiking now for a while. It's about 10:04. Came across this little stream. Thought I'd have to walk through it up to my knees or so, but fortunately there's this log. A little bit scary to walk across, but I made it. I passed Trinity Lakes up there at about 9:12 or so. So it took me about 2.5 hours from where I camped to get there. That was a bit too ambitious for yesterday. I'm glad I stopped where I did. I decided to stay on the official JMT, so I'm on the other side of the river from Devil's Post Pile. So this is my best view of it. Exciting.
Otherwise this trail is pretty boring. Not much sights. We got here around 11:30. This is Red's Meadow. That's the general store. It's got a nice little oasis. Actually in somewhat of civilization. There's the cafe that I shall be eating a nice big double cheeseburger with a big Coke. Oh, doesn't this water look inviting? I'm a little bit past Red Cones. It's now about 1:34. Have about 2.2 miles to go till Deer Creek. Oh, I love this. Made it to Duck Creek crossing about 2:31. So I've been going about 2.5 miles an hour. It's acceptable. This is my last water for about 5 3/4 miles till I get to the Duck Lake outlet. And I figure that'll take at most 2.5 hours. So I should get in around 5 o'clock. Sounds like a good time to stop. I believe I have found my next camping spot. Got here around 4:50. That's the creek up there coming down from Duck Lake. Runs by right down there, not too far. Close enough to get water from it, not too close so that it keeps me up at night. While my dinner's cooking, thought I'd give you a rundown on how things have been going. This is my third night. At the end of every day, my feet are hurting pretty bad. My legs are pretty sore. My feet are very tender. It's hard to take, put weight on it. But I make it through. I usually end the day before I totally, completely fall apart. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. And usually by the next morning, everything's fine. I got 2 new blisters today, besides the ones on the balls of my feet that don't seem to bother me too much. I got 2 small ones on the top of each one of my little pinky toes on either side. Those ones hurt a little bit more. I think it's because my feet are swelling. Other than that, my spirit is high. I think this can be done, and I'm looking forward to the next couple days, or several days. Talk to you later. Good morning. Oh, it was a very cold night last night. There's a lot of condensation on the inside of my tent. I'm not sure you can pick that up, but I wiped away some of it. But every time I touched it, came down, and the weight of the water really pulled the tent down close to my sleeping bag. I washed my socks last night, unfortunately. They're a little stiff. Oh goodness. It might take me a little bit longer to get on the trail this morning. Good morning. I'm off on the trail. I didn't film this earlier on as I was just leaving camp because it was just too cold. But I ended up leaving around 8:05. It was still brutally cold when I left. It was so cold when I was shaking my tent to get the water off, snow was coming off of it. And the towel that I used to wipe off the moisture from my tent had actually frozen solid. It was pretty cold, but surprisingly, that fleece jacket and the rain gear top kept me warm. And you wouldn't want to sit around like that, but it actually was okay. So I'm off on the trail now, and until next time. Made it to Purple Lake. It's about 9:30, so I did have a very slow morning. Virginia Lake. It's about 10:14. So I've been doing all right. My feet are feeling okay, except for the blister on the top of my right pinky toe. It's a little bit annoying, but I'll get through it. Here we are at Tully Hole. Just finished quite an amazing downhill plunge from way up there. Numerous switchbacks. Right now it's about 11:19. I think I found a good place to have lunch. It's about 11:44. I just got to the junction with the Cascade Valley Trail, so it's a good place to stop. Just some of the scenery on the trail up to Lake of the Lone Indian. Silver Pass. First of the major passes that I'm going to hit. Oh, this is just an awesome view. Pictures I'm sure can't tell what it's like to just sit here and look at this. It's so big. And the other cool thing is I got to walk across snow to get up here. The trail's obscured by snow, so I got to just kind of walk up it. I was hoping I would get to do that, and I did. Alright, there's the sign, Silver Pass. Here's a view looking the other way. This is looking south, the way I'm going. Awesome view. By the way, forgot to mention, it's now about 1:42. Got 11 miles done today. Got about 7 or so, a little less to do. So I should get in pretty early to camp. Nice, easy day. I made it down from Silver Lake down to the offshoot to Mott Lake. That last 1.2 miles was a severe bear. I'm glad I was coming down it. I met a guy named Greyhound. He's doing the whole PCT. He's got about a 10-pound pack, and he looked like he was really hustling along. He was actually using his stopwatch, and he stopped it while he talked to me, so he's pretty serious. I got to camp about 4:30, 4:32, somewhere in there. Set up shop. There's the trails. That's the trail I'm going to be taking tomorrow, and it heads over a bridge which you can't see. I guess you can just a tiny bit through there. Anyway, not a great sight here at camp, but do have a nice river running by it. Hopefully I have a nice restful sleep to tackle that in the next morning. Good morning. Welcome to day number 5. I liked it feeling pretty good after another 12 hours of sleep, or at least laying flat. I'm ready to tackle Bear Ridge, and let's see, what time is it now? It's now 6:45, so another early morning. So 22 miles today. We'll see how I feel at the end. Heading up Bear Ridge. This is kind of typical of what the trail's been like. It's been pretty good up, but very soft trail. As you can see, very densely forested. Lots of ferns and other kind of green leafy things on the floor. A lot of switchbacks. But all in all, actually not too bad a trail. A little bit further up the trail, the forest is thinning out a little. You can see the steepness, and down there you can kind of see the trail. But you can definitely tell that I've come up quite a ways. Really gaining some altitude on this. I'm actually starting to breathe a little bit, amazingly. I made it to the Bear Ridge trailhead. It's about 8:30 right now. So I've covered about, according to the map, 4.6 miles. Not too bad, actually. I was expecting a lot worse. Yeah, here's my first crossing where I had to get my feet wet. It was not that bad. Just, as you can see there, just up to mid shin. No problem. Alright, it's about 12:03. Made it up to Marie Lakes. Gorgeous view. And today I am just feeling awesome. I didn't even really want to stop right now for lunch, but I figure I oughta. My blisters are not bothering me at all today. My legs are no problem, my feet no problem. Could be because my pack weighs less. Could be because I've lost a little weight. Could be because I'm fitter, or a combination of all three. And up there is my next pass. I'll hit that shortly after lunch. Reached Selden Pass. There is Marie Lakes. What a view. Here's the look down the other side of Selden Pass. They say the trail's pretty steep. My feet are not going to like the pounding, but you gotta take it. Drop down from the pass a little bit. It's about 1:33, so I've been going for about 35 minutes down. And this is Sally Keys Lakes. Yeah, made it to Paiute Pass Trail Junction. Just on the other side of that bridge is where the trail goes up. But that's not my trail. I'm continuing going that way. But set up my tent. I got here around 4:45, so I made some pretty darn good time. And I'm actually feeling better today than I have at the end of any other day. So this is a good sign. Good morning. Day 6. I really like sleeping at these low elevations because it's much easier to pack up and get out early. It's now 6:27. I'm going to take off. The reason I'm so early today is because I want to try and get to Grouse Meadows today, which is also at about this same elevation. And then the next day get to the suspension bridge. And if I can do that, I can get out of here in 8.5 days, so I get back to Plan B. So my feet are feeling good, the pack's light. I should be able to hammer these 27 miles, but we'll see. Let's see how the day goes. Talk to you later. That's 8:13, and I made it to the famous Evolution Creek crossing. Looks a little bit deep there, so I'm just gonna wade across up there. Looks like it's a little shallower, and that's where I went last time, and it seemed not to be so bad. The footing was pretty good, so I'll try it this time. Well, looks like I chose wisely. See, it only got up to a little bit below my knee. The footing was fine. The water is just freezing cold, but it's not moving too fast. I think had I gone over right there, looking at it, looks like it would have been above my knee. So I made the right decision. I guess I can't pass through Evolution Valley without taking a picture of it. This is McClure Meadow. Up there somewhere is Colby Meadow. There's, I don't know what that is. Beautiful place. On my way up to Evolution Lake, I just had to stop for this photo op. Made it to Evolution Lake. It's about 10:40 right now. I'm just feeling good. I was really trucking up that hill, and just feeling great. There's not much scenery coming up the hill except for that waterfall, but this is gorgeous. I'm going to head up to the other side of the lake to the inlet before I have lunch. Before I stop for lunch at the inlet to Evolution, I thought I'd take a little detour to the outlet of Evolution and look back down on the valley. And it's a gorgeous view, but I'm glad to be out of there. The mosquitoes were definitely swarming. Felt like if I stopped for just a little bit, I'd just get carried away by the mosquitoes. So a beautiful view, but didn't want to stop to smell the roses. And I looked at the map. That guy there is called the Hermit. Let me pan around and show you the water exiting Evolution Lake. It's 11:16. I've made it around to the inlet to Evolution Lake. It's a nice place to stop and have lunch. The stepping stones here are well above water, so that shouldn't be too difficult to cross. And just pan around, see the rest of the scenery. Just past the outlet to Wanda Lake, which means I'm about a little over 2 miles from the summit. And just panning around. See the scenery, it's very rocky, very exposed. Lots of granite. I made it to the Muir hut. Surprisingly, it looks just like I've seen in all the pictures. Curious. Anyway, I made it up here. It's 1:28. This is a bit of a grind. It's really desolate. Nothing really to look at. Worst part is, from way down there, you can see the hut from about 2 miles away. And you keep walking, it never gets closer. But the good news is, it's all downhill from here to the camp. One last look at the cabin before I head down. Pan around here and see the other side. I've just spent the last hour or so coming down probably one of the ugliest trails I've ever seen. And that's what it looks like. And a lot of the time, the river is actually taking up the paths. You have to walk on the big rocks on the side. This is something I don't necessarily want to do again. It's 5:51 right now, and I still haven't made the Doozy Basin Trail junction. It's probably still another mile up the road. Man, my feet feel like raw hamburger. Coming down this side of Muir Pass is just brutal. There's no way I can keep going another 4 or so miles. I'm going at best 1.5 miles an hour now. So I'm just gonna camp right here and call it a night. Good morning. My feet feel better than they did last night, but still not great. Man, that descent from Muir Pass really shredded them. I'm getting out at 6:45 this morning. I'm going back to Plan C. I'm way too far behind Plan B. So tonight it's going to be Lake Marjorie. I made it down to Grouse Meadows. It's about 7:53. And of course I had to stop and take this shot. Kind of like the mist coming off the water too. Guess this is a fairly famous shot, so had to take it. Well, I've been hiking for about 2.5 hours now. It's 10:45 since the trail junction down there started coming uphill. I'm maybe 3/4 of the way up the Golden Staircase. It's fairly steep and treacherous. I can't really show you any trail from here. I guess right down there. A lot of rocks, a lot of bushes encroaching on the trail. It's been pretty slow going. Very inspiring though. I met a 70-year-old gentleman who this is his 3rd time doing the entire John Muir Trail. Very inspiring. Let me pan around here. There's the outlet stream coming out of Palisade Lakes. And somewhere up there is my first stop and probably my lunch break. Well, I'm almost done with this joyous little section of the trail. One last look down the valley. You'll notice that there are a lot of dead trees. Apparently there was a very big fire here in 2003 and hasn't quite come back yet. It eventually will. But I can show you some of the trail here if you want to see it. This is just carved right out of the rock. Very rocky. A lot of pointed edges digging into the soles of your feet. Not the most joyous experience, especially after all this hiking. Made it to Palisade Lake. It's 11:31 right now. Time to stop and eat some lunch. I think I'm gonna claim this beachfront property right here. I'll probably even take my shoes and socks off and go wading in the water. Hopefully I don't kill too many fish. And I might even get my shirt wet and kind of wash it out. I made it up to Mather Pass. Is my imagination, or are these things getting tougher? The trail was just ugly. Lots of rocks, lots of big steps, and just kind of rocks to look at. Looking over the other side, it's kind of nice to see forest down there. I'll be getting to those trees eventually. As you can see down there, the trail's not so bad, at least for a while. And right there, Split Mountain. My first ever 14,000 footer. But I'm not doing that today. I'm heading on down. I'll just want to give you a view of these switchbacks heading down. Not looking good. Yeah, I forgot, don't know if I told you, but I got up to the top there about 154. Here's the river crossing that marks the bottom of my downward trek from Mather Pass. I'm about 10,000 feet right now, and where I'm going to be staying is about 11,100 and something. So in 2.6 miles, I've got to go up over 1,100 feet. Oh, this is going to be good. Actually, I prefer going uphill to down. My feet are hurting pretty bad from the down, and the uphill feels better. Finally made it to Lake Marjorie. That was a good lung-busting workout. So I left the stream crossing at about 4:31. Got up here around 5:30, 5:31, 5:32, somewhere in there. Looked around a bit for a campsite. Couldn't really find any. As you can see, it's kind of sparse here. So what I decided to do is go tentless. Sleep out au natural. Oh, good morning. Welcome to day number 8. It was a pretty cold night last night. The wind was really howling, but fortunately, because of the place I was staying, I didn't really feel the wind. There's white caps on the lake. It was pretty bad. This morning, though, as you can probably tell, absolutely no wind, but it is quite cold, which is why I'm still wearing gloves and hat. And of course, I'm just 3 miles from the Pinchot Pass, so I'm going to keep these on and probably till I get to the other side. It looks like a little bit of sun hitting the range up there. The pass is somewhere over there, so we'll see how it goes. Made it to Pinchot Pass. I left this morning about 6:41. It's now 7:35, so I'm not really tearing up the trail too much. And here's a look down the other side. A lot more lakes down there this time than last. Oh, finally made it to the bridge. It's now 11:12. I'd like to make a correction. From where I camped last night to Pinchot Pass was 1.7, not 3 miles, which is why my mileage seemed fast at the time, but it really wasn't. Well, after having a good lunch on this side of the bridge, it's time to start heading uphill. Actually, I'm looking forward to this uphill. That downhill just creamed my shins and my feet. Oh, they're just screaming in pain. So I'm actually looking forward to this 8.2 miles of uphill to Glen Pass. Made it to the junction between the two Ray Lakes. Or maybe there's 3, but the 2 upper ones. So I've got 2 more miles to go till I get to the pass right up there. Alright, getting closer to the summit. And let me ask you, do you think that would intimidate you, that climb? It intimidates the heck out of me. Oh, goodness, am I ever glad to get that over with. I left the 60 Lakes Basin Trail Junction down there about 2 miles away at 3:17. It's now 4:20, and I've been going at a pretty good clip. That thing is really steep. If we turn around, take a look the other way, see the trail down there, kind of goes around. Nice view. Oh, this sign is a very welcome sight. This is where I'm going to stop for the night, right here. I was waiting for this sign. That descent from the pass was probably one of the most excruciatingly painful descents I've ever made in my life. My feet are really hurting. It's time for me to plop down and get some good rest. It's now about 6:14. Oh, it's about time. Good morning. Welcome to the penultimate day. I'm getting a really early start this morning. It's 6:22. I really need to get going because I think my feet aren't going to like this downhill. It's 11:09 on my way up. I've got about an hour or so to go before I hit the peak, which is somewhere up there, not sure where. But there's a good shot of where I've come from, somewhere way down there. Oh, made it to the top of Forester, 13,160 feet. The trail's been pretty good, a lot of switchbacks, but handled it pretty well. Not too much of a view there. You can see a little bit over the mountains. Take a look down the other side. There's the sign. And there's looking down into the valley. I'm going to be saying somewhere down there. The trail down there looks pretty flat. We've got a very sharp, steep descent here, which may hurt a lot, but looks like it's going to be great going all the way to Crabtree. I'll look back up Forester Pass. The footing is horrible. It was real slow going, but I made it to the bottom, and now I've got relatively easy trail to go. By the way, I got to the top around 12:45. It's now about 1:28, so it took me a while. Well, I decided to pitch tent at Tyndall Creek. The sky is starting to look a little bit ominous. These clouds have been kind of building. There's no way that I can get out of here in one more day, so I'm going to just head to Guitar Lake and then head out the next day. Good morning. Yes, I'm still in my tent. It's 8:08. I'm at Tyndall Creek right now, and I'm slowly getting up because today I'm only going to Crabtree Meadow or maybe Guitar Lake because I just can't make it out today. I've been doing a lot of stretching exercises with my ankles to try and get them more flexible because they're kind of swollen and the flexibility is pretty bad. So I figure spend this time trying to get them back into some working order. So I'll give you an update later. Oh, so far so good, I guess. Well, I'm all packed up, ready to go at the break of 9:39 in the morning. But as you can see, very clear blue sky. I did actually get some rain last night. The tent worked out well, just got a little bit of a mist coming through the mesh. If I make another version, I'm going to make it slightly longer or with a more of a overhang on the front. Anyway, today, since it's pretty short, just heading to Guitar Lake, I'm going to drink a heck of a lot more than usual. And maybe my swollen ankles are a direct result of that, of dehydration. So I'm going to try and overcompensate today, so maybe it'll help for tomorrow. I've been climbing a bit since Tyndall Creek. This is just the weirdest landscape. That little pond there and very little trees. Just very Martian-like. Yeah, I made it here. It's now 12:01, so I'm making okay time. I've come about actually that's wrong, about 4.7 miles to here. And nice little creek running right over there. The High Sierra Trail comes in somewhere around here too. So I'm going to stop here for a little bit, little bite to eat, and then I'm on my way. Well, I made it to Timberline Lake. It's been a bit of a struggle. My feet are pretty darn sore. The good news is I only have 1.3 miles to go from here to my camp spot at Guitar Lake. Alright, made it to Guitar Lake. Here's where I'm going to be camping, right in this spot right here. Nice and soft, so maybe I'll get some steaks in. And tomorrow, up the switchbacks, I don't know if you can see the trail up there. And then up and over, and then out. Change of plans. About 15 minutes further down, near this outcropping of rock here, some guy said there was a nice spot, so I decided to move down. Every little 15 minutes counts. Get a nice view of the lake here. Good morning. Very last morning in the Sierras, for this trip at least. And this is, I'm leaving at 6:15 a.m. This is sunrise over Guitar Lake, or early morning. I'm not sure where the sun's going to rise, but it's quite beautiful. Anyway, I've got 4.8 miles to go to the summit and 3,000 feet of climbing. It's right up there. Here's the trail junction. I have 1.9 up to the top. Alright, just got enough battery left to give one little panorama at the top of the world. Got up here about 8:55 in the morning. Feeling good about finishing. These nice people here gave me some food to power my way down. I'm done!
Yay! One smelly body, 11 days later.
10 days, 1 hour, 40 minutes. That's how long it took me to get to the top. But then, of course, down here, it's now 4:02, so that's the official end time.
Ta-da!
Yay!